So I'm going to cover Joomla SEO. Does anybody here use Joomla? All right, I'm done.
That's Mike.
But this is probably getting close to about my dozenth Fox Valley presentation. I usually end up getting a call about 2 weeks before, like this time. Hey, Creuzer, can you do this? I'm like, yes.
2 weeks, my ass. It was one.
Yeah.
Generous.
But, so yeah, I just come here, I do what I can do and talk about what I pretend to know about, and it's all good. But like this, we just upgraded the first of the year from Joomla 2.5 to Joomla 3.2, and going through putting this presentation together, we've missed a lot of steps covering this. So it is valuable just to put something like this together because it helps you organize your thoughts. But so Joomla's SEO, I won't really get into the Joomla specific stuff, just I'll make you guys aware of what is capable in case you want to decide to look at Joomla at some point and know that it's there for you. As was pointed out earlier, what's good for a human is generally good SEO. The tool can make stuff, can handle some of the SEO stuff for you, like what's on the left. It can take care of the physical structure, your URLs, the meta tags and all that, any of the semantic stuff that you need to go in as far as the HTML is concerned. The social aspects, your CMS should be able to handle that for you, the auto creating of tags and links and your share buttons and all that. It should address your site speed somehow, and it should provide your site nav. It should just work. That's what a CMS is supposed to do. It just works. But a CMS should also make a lot of the human stuff that you need to do as far as writing content, make it easy. So adding things like keywords, focusing on your keywords, your page titles, your page headings, your actual editing of the content, making sure you have good content, linking your images correctly with your alt tags and your descriptions and all that. And then providing good, meaningful links should all be handled by your CMS. And Joomla, luckily, takes care of this for us. Joomla out of the box is a content management tool. It makes editing your content easy. You should be able to get good content published to a screen using a CMS like Joomla. Joomla can provide search engine friendly URLs, which is, as was discussed earlier with the words, with the underscores and or the hyphens and all that. It should work, provide the meta tags, custom meta tags for every page with defaults. So if you have a page you don't care about, you could use the default. If you want the ability to craft your description tag or some of your keywords, you should be able to easily do that with the tool, which this does. This provides you content syndication, which can be good or it can be bad. And it can address some of the speed aspects for you. Joomla 3.2 has some SEO settings. Out of the box, search engine URLs, which it will rewrite all of your URLs on the fly. It tracks it, with the code with the slashes and all that, with the question mark and an ID and then a numeric value, kind of like what Drupal does. That's what it keeps track of in content everywhere, but it will then rewrite that when it presents it to something that's useful. It will provide URL rewriting, which will then turn around and actually make those work when you use the search engine friendly URLs. You can add .html to the end of your files if you want, or you can not add it. The option is yours. You have support Unicode for multilingual or foreign languages and stuff like that. And then you can select to choose the site name in your page titles, which for some sites may be good, for some sites may be bad. It depends. Like everything, it depends. Some more settings that we have available under the hood in Joomla would be, your global meta tags. So you got global page titles, global meta tags, descriptions. So you can basically set a site default. So if you don't customize it, it's got something there and it's just not empty. We have content caching because Joomla is a generate a page on the fly CMS. So every time you load a page, it queries the database, assembles all the content, does all the translations, all the lookups, everything generates this, a very complex process to assemble a page. It does it on the fly for everything, so Joomla has built-in caching that can operate at the module level, so the contents of individual modules can be cached. It'll operate at the page level, it'll operate at the database level, on multiple levels. I'm just trying to speed it up because it's stupid how it generates a page every time. Very resource wasteful. The server I have is a quad-core 16 gig of RAM RAID server, and it needs a pretty beefy box to make it run fast. The other reason I have such a box is I'm running Magento, which is an absolute dog. But I actually get really good performance out of Magento off the same box. So, your CMS should be able to provide a zip compression down the wire to your client with pretty easy to try to get the fastest traffic to your customer, to try to get the speed back up, so that if they do find you on a search engine or whatever, they click that button to go to your site. They're not waiting for 12 seconds for your site to load, because after 3 seconds they'll click the back button and they'll never see your content, and all the work you've done with your meta tags and your keywords is for naught. Redirect management. If you change a page, if you tweak content, you tweak your site URLs or whatever, because you're always changing, always trying to improve. Joomla has the ability to kind of keep track of these changes and keep forwarding these things, so these old links that you're no longer using can still work and won't throw a 404 page as you're tweaking and improving and continually improving your process. And then Joomla has what you see is what you get editor. You can actually have multiple JCE, TNMCE, code mirror, whatever that is. I'm old school. I have that nonsense turned off because if I have to look at our content, it's to debug something. So I need to see the actual raw HTML. But I've got a couple of content people within my company. I've got 6 people in the marketing department, 2 content people, the graphics guy, the web manager, myself, and then the marketing director. And we all can go in and work on content in the CMS, and all of us can take care of stuff, which is pretty cool. Part of your search engine optimization is metrics. Yeah.
You talked about the content cache and the construction of the site as. Is that not the case in Drupal?
Quite likely. I would expect it to be.
Okay, so
It's got capabilities.
So the page is constructed on the fly.
And there's, but you don't want that many layers of caching to happen in Drupal, one of which is an entire page cache. Keeping them away from a lot of work, unnecessary.
Right, and they'll have timeouts, and they'll have, if something changes, it'll go in and mark something's changed. It'll purge that part of the cache, and then it will try to rebuild as much as it can from the cache, trying to get stuff to the end user as fast as possible. I imagine Drupal's the exact same way. I mean, they both generate on the fly, the content, the pages on the fly by default, and it's, they both need to solve the same problem, which is trying to prevent from a very slow website. Part of your search engine optimization is metrics and knowing if you're doing a good job and capturing that data. So what we can do with Joomla, what we do is we insert all of our analytics, our AdSense, our AdWords, all those embed codes we add as a module, screen module, that is basically got no visible content, and we bury it at the bottom of the page where it needs to be. In this case, we have a debug position, which is provided by our template, and that's how we embed all that content. So we only have to touch it once. It's embedded into the template. We don't have to worry about any other modules of code running, and that'll slow stuff down. It's using a native Joomla structure to load all that stuff. You don't have to go get another component to do just your analytics and insertion or something like that. Some more configuration tweaks. Some of these are already pointed out. To WW or not to WW, you need to decide which one you do. Define it somewhere. You can address it in your .htaccess file. If it comes in without the www, you can have a mod rewrite to actually point it back to the www, or vice versa. Or if you're using like a Plesk or a cPanel, you can, a lot of times the newer ones, you can define that there. So we run Plesk. We define no www, I believe, within Plesk and have Plesk enforce that for us. You need to enable the mod rewrite in the Htaccess file. Joomla will ship with the capability, but it's not turned on by default to use mod rewrite to handle the redirects, which is going to be a little bit faster than having the Joomla code, PHP code process, because it can load the cached pages. There's some tricks under the hood, but you can turn that on in the Htaccess, the mod rewrite redirects, and that'll help speed it up. Yes?
In terms of rewrites, ideally you'd actually be able to do this in your Apache configuration. Most commonly, they're actually done in Htaccess. The drawback to that is it has to do that on every request.
Right.
Last resort would be to have the actual app. So the PHP would have to fire up and load up the app.
Right.
So
Exactly what you
ideally,
said.
they'd be at the Apache config, most commonly with Htaccess.
Right. Another thing with that is if you're running something like an Nginx proxy, it's closer to the Nginx proxy, so that you can actually, Apache can resolve any rewrites, any changes of URLs, versus having to turn back to Joomla and have Joomla give that answer, so Nginx can proxy that much faster and give you faster page results, which will help your user experience. You want to set your static file, your expirations for your static files, your images, your CSSs, your JS files, and your Htaccess. For whatever reason, Joomla doesn't come with that configured. It's not in there. You have to go in and add that as an afterthought. My next slide will cover that. One way of doing that. And the other thing you need to do is you need to edit your robots.txt file to not ignore your images directory. Otherwise, all of your images will be hidden from Google searches and Bing searches and Yahoo searches. Unless, of course, that's what you want. But I'm thinking most people would probably want their images to be accessible by search engines. I know we get a lot of traffic through image searches. People trying to lose something, they'll click over an image, see, we sell equipment, we sell robots that measure stuff. They're looking for a specific machine, they'll do a Google image search. Oh, that's the machine I'm looking for. And then we'll get the image traffic.
So do you name your images?
Yes.
Specifically as descriptive as you can?
Yes, we're supposed to.
Do you fill out the, what is it,
IPTC data.
TC, what is it?
IPCTK.
IPCT, you fill out that data too with the description and the
I'm not familiar with IPTC.
It's in JPEG, it's XML is in JPEG.
Right.
Yeah, it's metadata inside the images.
Yeah, we're not to that level yet.
See, I don't know if Google Images or Bing Images is hitting that data or not.
They are.
Yeah,
They are?
They are.
we're way up.
So this is why you guys need to present, because you learn stuff.
Right.
So yeah, we're not touching it at the moment, to my knowledge. But I mean, I got a graphics guy that takes care of that for me.
Good question.
So-
Is that a virtual robots.txt file or a physical one?
That is a physical robots.txt file. But for whatever reason, Joomla by default ships with that images full directory in that robots.txt file to ignore the images directory. It's weird. But that's just one of the oddities with Joomla. Your browser cache expiration is what you need to set. When I mentioned on the previous screen, for the setting your browser caching for your static files. So this is just an example. You can drop this into your Htaccess file, and it will tell the Apache to tell the browser to hold on to files for a period of time. This is just one example. Some files are reasonable to have for a couple months, some for a year or whatever. but Joomla doesn't have that in its base configuration. I had to do this with my vBulletin site as well as my Magento site. It's just something that these content systems aren't doing. And this will help that second page load significantly because your image assets will be cached locally. Hosting can be an important factor for search engine optimization. If you have a lousy host, your site sucks. You know, your page speed is going to be really low just because your host is oversubscribed and they can't get the content out to them. Your site crawls may have problems because the site's server's host is giving was it 502 site not available if server's down errors when Google's trying to crawl it or whatever. Joomla does on-demand content generation. Every time the page is loaded, it's generated. So that's why you had to have some decent hosting. It's not that bad as far as what it needs, especially for simpler sites, but it's there. Your hosting should be able to provide the mechanism for caching, whether it's EPC, which is I forget what it stands for. It's a built-in native PHP caching methodology or something like memcache. Joomla also deal with file caching, but if your host is slow, you probably have slow disk access as well, and that's not going to work for you. I suggest APC or memcache caching. And then your hosting environment also needs to allow you to work with your Htaccess file so you can do things like turn on your mod rewrite and stuff like that. So your hosting does impact your SEO capabilities with your Joomla. Your content editing. This is the edit screen for Joomla. This is a new page a new product we just introduced. And you can see that you can customize your page title quite easily across the top. You can do what's called the alias, which is your short link. It's got the hyphen built in. It will generate that automatically based on your title, but you have the capability of changing it when you need to. Everybody else but me has a nice, pretty, what you see is what you get editor. I geek out on this stuff. On the right-hand side, you can add some minor things that's not really SEO related. But across the top, there's some tabs. The next one's called Publishing. And in this, you can really geek out on your SEO stuff. Here's where you can add your custom meta tag description, which is what shows up in your Google search results as a suggestion. Google won't always use it. They think they know better. They won't use it. They'll pick something up from your content. Your keywords, stuff like that, those are kind of the big ones. Joomla's got the built-in authorship semantics. There's some new semantic authorship tools which Joomla has built in now. You can also go in and you can a la carte turn different features off on a page-per-page aspect. So if you want to turn your title tag off for whatever reason, or you want to turn your meta tags off for whatever reason because you want to bury a page of content versus pushing it up. I know we bury a lot of content for old product that we don't want to come back to us, but we still need to make that content available, stuff like that. So we'll bury content within the site. Joomla is very easily extensible. I think it's slightly different in Drupal. Drupal, you kind of build your own stuff with your own Drupal tools. Joomla, you go out and you get a component and you install it. You get a module, you can install it, and that changes the behavior of Joomla. Every one you install slows your site down because it's just more code to process every time a page is loaded. So you try to keep it trim, but there's some really good ones that will help your SEO. Yes?
Just to avoid confusion, it's exactly the same in Drupal
Okay.
and in WordPress.
I know WordPress is...
Joomla, do they call them extensions?
Joomla, we have components, modules, plugins, extensions.
Yeah, so that's
All
confusing.
interchangeable, right?
No, everyone's slightly different.
In Drupal, you've got predominantly modules, also some plugins. And then in WordPress, they're called plugins.
And Joomla,
But it's the same across all of them.
right. Joomla, a component would be like a little mini app that would run within your site. So if you want a job board, that would be a component. If you want a blog tool within your website, that could be a component, a kind of self-contained mini app. Then you have modules, which can span, will operate on all content within your site. You have plugins, which will change the way content is displayed, so it's like rendering on the fly, stuff like that. There's a lot of tools there. But some of the tools we have would be one called XMap, which provides your sitemap tool for like your sitemap.xml file generation. We have one that's called SH404SEF, which is kind of the kitchen sink of search engine tool. It does everything. It's like the number one. I mean, everybody mentions this when they mention SEF on Joomla. One that we've used in the past called RDO Joomla SEF, which we no longer use because Joomla 3.2 has built in most of what that used to do back 2-3 years ago that we needed this tool for. One I'm using right now, which is a tool called Skyline Keyword Linking, which is an automatic linking tool. It basically will scan your page, looking for keywords, and create links to content within your site or external of your site. We build robots that measure stuff. So we've got tens of thousands of product numbers for parts. So I use this tool, so I name a part number. This is what will cross-reference that and link that into my store. From products, different product names and stuff like that, I use this tool to pull those and link out of press releases that we run on the website. So I don't have to manually maintain all this. This tool can help me maintain that. And the other thing you should look at with Joomla is a search engine optimization friendly template, which I can get into a little bit later. But if you got a lousy template, all the work in the world isn't going to help you if it's not presenting that content so Joomla or the search engines can parse that content out for you. This can be HTML5. That's where you're going. Some of the things that's like H1 for your title tag when you name your main title across the top of your page and stuff like that. Just some minor points. XMap. Nobody here cares. SH404SEF. Nobody cares. Yeah, nobody cares. This is kind of interesting.
That's all the good stuff.
Correct. Well, the tools are available. I wrote a script that grabs all my product store, correlates it with my menu titles and stuff like that, and populates this tool programmatically. And then I go through, and every night I go through and I have it check all the URLs just to make sure it's current. And it will go in and it'll unpublish anything that it's found that's not active link. So those links fall off the site. And it sends an email saying, this is broken, why?
That's
And
actually a really good feature.
that's my own code. It's not part of the native tool.
Yeah, Mike.
That's right. There you go.
That's what keeps me going to work every morning is they need stuff like that done. But the search engine friendly templates. You want a small template, smaller, can process faster. You want to look at the source code ordering, which is, does it put your content at the top of the HTML page, or does it put your 198 navigation menu items at the physical top of that HTML page? Our old site, the navigation was on top. Now with Joomla 3.2, because we got a better template, our content is now higher up on the page. It's more obvious for search engines to go through, and because it's just code, trying to parse code, and that's a very dirty job. And it can more easily pick up your content that way, because your source is more convenient for the search engines, and it's more obvious for the search engines to pick up what's your content versus what's just nonsense, stuff that you need to have just to make a human be able to navigate your content. Tableless layouts, which shouldn't be a problem anymore, but I still see website templates that are done in tables. Heading structure, making sure that you're using H1 tags, H2 tags, stuff like that. Basically, good semantic markup. Using a CSS menu versus a JavaScript menu, because a JavaScript menu, the search engines can't parse your menu items out. It's just invisible, it's just a black hole. Your menus don't exist as far as the search engine's concerned, so it can't navigate your site. So you want to make sure you have a navigation system that the search engines can access, and semantic markup. The other tool I use, because we upgrade frequently and we tend to make our websites go away, it seems like the last 6 months I've been in the business of making my websites go away. I think I've mothballed about 8-10 websites now, and then roll them all into a main website. I use a lot of mod rewrite map, which is basically gives you a tab separated file or space separated file. You have a source destination and your new destination as part of the file. And to set that up, you need to define that such a beast exists in your Apache config. Then you have to enable it in your Htaccess, and then you have to have a separate file that lists all this stuff. And every time a page is loaded, it walks through every single line of this to see if it exists in this rewrite map before it will continue on to your regular mod rewrite and then to your Joomla and stuff like that. So if you're loading a JavaScript file, it will still walk through every single line of these. But for your main core pages, if you've changed a lot of URLs, it can happen a lot faster through a mod rewrite map, because it's happening at the Apache level. So, and I'm getting the time.
Yeah, this is a best practice everybody should actually memorize that you previously.
Right.
I typically just call it a luxury, but this is probably one of the most important things that you could possibly do. Anytime you're going to move your websites, because Google's going to come in and they're going to penalize you, they're going to sandbox you for some.
I think it's a joke.
Right.
If anybody's listening, that's.
Kind of hard to hear you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, my voice is.
What he said is this is very important.
That's a really important, real critical. If you're switching to another provider, if you're migrating to a new website. But if you don't want to lose, if you don't want any leakage, if you don't want to lose any of your valuable page rank, follow that.
Right, like I just shut off a PageRank 6 website. It's been up since like 94. I mean, it's really, really old site. Shut it off, boss it, make it go away. So I took all my deep links and I ran it through this. If they hit the top level site, I got a routing. You know, it routes it to wherever it needs to go within the organization globally. But all of my old indexed content, I capture and I route and I bring that to the right pages in my new website using this tool. So I've captured all that old SER that I've had for 15 years at this point. And it's stuff that hasn't existed in 10 years. People are still coming to links that haven't existed in 10 years because I'm capturing them and I'm giving them good locations. And it's still valid content as far as people haven't touched your website in 10 years is concerned. So.
Okay, any other questions for Mike while Joe's getting set up? We're going to have Joe go ahead and get set up.
That wasn't too long, was it?
No. I ran my mouth too long.